Hello and welcome, adventurers. I'm Mary, and in this video, I'll be talking about the plethora of Final Fantasy IV references in Final Fantasy XIV's newest expansion, Endwalker. Let me make it crystal clear that this video contains massive spoilers for Endwalker, Final Fantasy IV, and Final Fantasy IV The After Years. So before your interest wanes, let's get started. The first major reference we encounter in Endwalker is the Tower of Zot. In Final Fantasy IV, Golbez uses the Tower of Zot as a base for the first half of the story. While the inside of the tower is unique to Final Fantasy XIV, we are treated to an amazing version of the Tower of Zot theme. The Mega Sisters are also an encounter in Final Fantasy IV's Tower of Zot, now with new names that reflect their Final Fantasy XIV lore origins: Cinderuva, Sandaruva, and Mindaruva, yet are reminiscent of their original names of Cindy, Sandy, and Mindy. The mechanics in the new boss fight are also from their Final Fantasy IV counterpart. The triangular floor pattern they stand on lights up while they prepare their combo attack. Cinderuva casts Mansuya Reflect on herself, Sandaruva casts Mansuya Faith on Mindaruva, and Mindaruva casts Delta Attack on Cinderuva, which is reflected back to our party. Also, if you kill a sister and Cinderuva is alive, she'll raise them, which is another mechanic from the Final Fantasy IV version. After defeating the sisters, the Tower of Zot begins to collapse. Grahatia casts a clutch float spell, saving the Scions and the imprisoned Arca Sodara, similar to how Rosa casts Teleport to save Cecil's party from a crumbling Tower of Zot. In Garlemald, we discover that the Imperial Palace has been transformed into a structure called the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel was a dungeon in Final Fantasy IV, which Golbez used to bring the Giant of Babel down from the moon. If you want an in-depth description of the origins of the Tower of Babel, check out my previous speculation video. I'll leave a link in the description below. The inside of Final Fantasy XIV's Tower of Babel and the music are unique, but we do get two nostalgic boss fights, Barnabas and Lugae. Dr. Lugae, along with his prized robot Barnabas, were original denizens of the Tower of Babel, working under Golbez. While fought separately in Final Fantasy XIV, Barnabas' encounter starts off similarly to Final Fantasy IV, with Barnabas attacking Lugae instead of the party. Their dialogue is also similar, with some minor changes. We then travel to the moon via a teleporter in the Tower of Babel, leaving our poor lunar whale without a job. Upon arrival, we are greeted by the Watcher, a being created by Hydaelyn to monitor the imprisoned Zodiarch and, by extension, the souls of the Ancients giving him form. The Watcher is based on Fusoya, the Lunarian Cecil's party meets upon entering the Crystal Palace. Fusoya had been tasked to watch over his fellow Lunarians while they sleep in the moon's core. The Watcher also has similar robes to Fusoya. next Final Fantasy IV reference we encounter is in Bestway's Burrow, where we meet the Labyrinths, an adorable race of bunnies tasked by Hydaelyn to ferry the people of Aetheris to the stars in the event of Zodiark's destruction. The Labyrinths are based on the Hummingways, a race of rabbits also of lunar origins. In the original Final Fantasy IV, a Hummingway called Namingway appears in various places throughout the game, offering to change any party member's name. In the 3D remake on the Nintendo DS, players are unable to change characters' names due to the addition of voice acting. When Cecil comes across Namingway, Namingway is horrified to learn he can no longer fulfill his role, and goes on a journey to find a new purpose. Along this journey, his name changes, matching something about his current exploit. The names of the more prominent Labyrinths are from his 3D iteration: Living Way, Mapping Way, and Pudding Way, to name a few. The music in Bestway's Burrows is straight from Final Fantasy IV and personally was a huge treat to hear. The theme that plays is called Welcome to Our Town, and is the theme for most towns in the game. The battle theme is also the one that plays for most random encounters. Some of the Labyrinths even do their signature hum. We learn from the Labyrinths that the moon is actually a vessel capable of space travel, which is another reference to Final Fantasy IV. After the final battle, we see the moon flying away from Earth's orbit to find another home for the Lunarians. When we travel in time to before the world was sundered, we meet Hermes and his creation Meteo. Meteo and her identical sisters were created as entelechies from the emotion-derived energy known as dynamis. They share a hive mind, and were tasked with exploring the universe to find life and the answers to Hermes' question. The Meteo are reminiscent of the Maenads, a group of villains seen in Final Fantasy IV: The After Years. The Maenads are a group of identical young women who also share a hive mind, and serve as one of the main antagonists. In addition to using black magic, the Maenads summon Eidolons by corrupting their minds. Fusoya describes their method as casting the Eidolon's spirit into another dimension. This can be reversed by triggering an emotional response from the Eidolon. When this occurs, the Maenads lose the ability to summon that Eidolon. Hermes notes that Meteon's name means shooting star, and it's implied that the Maenads traveled to Earth and the Moon via meteorites. We then track the Meteon to their nest at the edge of the universe. The Scions each in turn sacrifice themselves so the Warrior of Light can continue forward. In Final Fantasy IV, Cecil also had multiple altruistic companions who made his journey possible. Thankfully, in both games, these allies reappear toward the end seemingly unharmed from their ordeal. And in the battle with the Endsinger, the Warrior of Light and their party is protected and strengthened by the prayers of the Scions. Cecil is also aided by the prayers of his comrades, which allows him to use the crystal on Zeromus, revealing his true form and starting the final battle. So what's your favorite Final Fantasy IV reference in Endwalker? Is there something I missed? Let me know in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing. I also stream on Twitch, link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, adventurers, remember, you matter, and may you ever walk in the light.